What's going on? It's Samantha from Lone Crow Adventures, the channel where we talk about all things camping, hiking, and backpacking. Today we're reviewing the Winnerwell Nomad Size Medium Hot Tent Stove. This is a great hot tent stove. I'm sure you're going to like it. So this is the Winnerwell Nomad Size Medium Stove. This is a stainless steel stove. It's made out of 304 stainless steel, which is very resistant to rust and corrosion, so it's going to have a long life cycle. Now this stove does have warming trays that double down as a little carry handle. Now the stove is fairly heavy. Whenever you're talking about a stainless steel stove, it's going to weigh quite a bit more than a titanium stove. So the weight on this stove comes in at 20 pounds. So we have the warming shelves that flip out this way, and on the bottom we have these little legs. They just pop out. Like so. So this would be the height of the stove once you get it set up. Now one of the nice things about this hot tent stove is that it is fully self-contained. Open up the door, and this is what it comes with. It comes with a spark arrestor, it comes with a damper pipe, and then it comes with 4 sections of straight pipe. And the pipe opening on this stove is a 2.5-inch diameter stove, which is a really nice size for most hot tents. And it fits right in here. These are sections. Now it also does come with this. This is a handy little scraper for you to scrape out the ashes. So we've got 4 sections of these straight pipes here. This is your damper pipe here. And this is the spark arrestor. Now a spark arrestor feature on a stove is hugely important, and I cannot stress it enough, because if you're using just a straight pipe and you don't have anything up here to catch any little sparks or burning material that might be coming out of it, that could blow onto the top of your hot tent and could put holes in your hot tent. So having a spark arrestor on any stove that you decide to go with is a big time safety feature that you should be looking for. And this is a spark arrestor for this model. Now it does have this stainless steel grate here. This just pops in. And it sits just like so. So when you load your wood, you're going to load your wood on the top, and there's going to be a little airflow space underneath here. So when you go to start your stove, you can go ahead and put your wood in there, and you can put a little bit of kindling down here to get the flames up. And then go ahead, shut the door, open up the front damper a little bit, and that puppy should fire on no problems. So this model of the Nomad stove is the standard model. There is also a view model which has a piece of glass running on both sides of the stove, but I opted just to have this nice viewing glass in the front instead of those side views. And it's really nice to be able to watch the fire burn in there. It's a really, really nice feature. It makes it feel cozy in the tent. Now, the cooktop is made out of a 1/8 of an inch thick steel. That's a stainless steel, that 304 stainless steel. And the side walls are made out of a 1/16 of an inch stainless steel. So this way, it's definitely going to support even a big cast iron pan or a big cast iron Dutch oven can sit on here, no problems. Now, one of the interesting things about the Nomad series of stoves is that they feature a removable cooktop. So this can come off here, and this allows you for direct over the fire cooking. So you could roast something on a skewer or a stick if you wanted to, or you could put your pan directly over here and have the flames and the heat that pan directly. But most of the time when I use it, I just keep this on, and this just kind of snaps into position like so. And it's a pretty level cooking surface even with this additional piece that is there. One of the things that is so important about picking a hot tent stove is the stove capacity. So we'll open that up. So that means how much wood you can actually fit in here, or how much space there is to actually fit wood in here. So we have a total of 800 cubic inches, and the depth of the stove, so the maximum length of a piece of wood you can put in here, is 15 inches. Now the cook surface of this stove is 20 inches off the ground, and the maximum height of the stove with the top of the spark arrestor from ground to spark arrestor is going to be 90 inches. So you may have to add a few sections of pipe depending on the size of hot tent that you have. Now this little scraper is fantastic because you really can get in there and you can scrape out all of those hot coals or ash in the morning. I scrape out my ash in the morning every single morning before I start the hot tent stove over again. And I usually just have a little pan down here and I just kind of scrape them off into there and then go dump them, so that way you get a nice clean burn every time that I fire this thing up. So now we're going to put the damper pipe on, and it just slides into position just like so. Now the damper pipe, what it is, it's an airflow control mechanism. So when the handle is in this vertical position, that means the damper is fully open. And if you're not familiar with what a damper is basically a metal flap on the inside of this pipe. And when it's closed, it means it's flat and it's keeping the heat and the airflow down inside the stove. And when it's open, it's allowing airflow up. So with the damper in the open position, this stove is going to draw the most oxygen, and it's really going to get that fire kicking. So you want to keep that damper open when you're first lighting this stove. And when you close the damper, that's going to reduce the airflow substantially, and it's going to keep the heat in the stove. So some people like to close the damper, for instance, before they go to bed and just kind of let the fire burn down. When I close this completely, I will notice that there will be some smoke that will come up around this cook plate. So I would only close it to about 45 degrees on this particular stove. That's the maximum amount of damper close that I choose to use. But most of the time when I'm burning and I'm cooking and everything's going great, I just leave that damper wide open. Then we have several sections of pipe that go over it. We've got these 4. Put them on, and they just lock into position. That's the real nice thing. There's no tools or fancy assembly required. It just all snaps into position. So I am too short to actually put the spark arrestor in the very top. So what I go ahead and do is I click the spark arrestor into the preceding section, and then I go ahead and I put that section on there. Woohoo! All right, and that really gives you some perspective. That is 90 inches from the top of the spark arrestor to the ground. So it's a pretty decent height. And for hot tenting, you're going to want your flue pipe to be at least 12 to 18 inches above the peak of your tent. So depending on what tent that you're using, you may have to purchase a few extra pieces of stovepipe, or if you have a little baby hot tent, you might have to take a couple away. So it just depends on your setup, but these are available on the Winnerwell website. The really nice thing about the Winnerwell Nomad is that it comes with a ton of additional attachments that you can buy for it just to make it that much more fun and exciting. So I've got 3 different attachments that I've purchased that I use on a regular basis that I'm going to show you next. All right, so I'll show you a far away shot first, and then we'll pan in so you can see each of these 3 items. This is the first one. This is the double wall pipe. This is the pipe oven, and this is a water receptacle. So we're going to pan in close, and we're going to talk about each of these 3 optional attachments. So this is the first attachment. This is the Winnerwell double wall pipe. And what this pipe is designed to do is it's designed to send heat up instead of heat out. Now these lower sections here, they're going to radiate heat all the way around the pipe, and it could radiate as much as 18 inches around it. So in my particular hot tent, when the flue pipe is coming up, it just gets a little close to the wall for my comfort. So I opted to get this attachment just for some extra added safety and security. And this is the 2.5 inch double wall pipe, and it runs about $60. Again, it's not something that you need, but it may be something that you want to consider depending on what specific hot tent that you're planning on using this stove in. This is the second attachment that I purchased, and honestly, this is probably the most fun attachment. This is the 2.5-inch pipe oven, and it's exactly what it is. It is an oven. So you go ahead and you open this up, and you've got 2 racks that you can cook on, and these are 6 inches wide. So if I want to cook something, I can fit 2 of those little mini loaf pans. I can put one on the top, one on the bottom. We've baked meatloaf in here. We've baked cookies. We've done cinnamon rolls. We've done biscuits, all kinds of great stuff. You can even make fresh bread inside of this. So that's, again, not something that everybody's going to be into, but it's a super, super fun attachment. Again, it is an attachment that's external, does not come with the stove, and you can pick this guy up for $179, but it's so much fun. Honestly, I really recommend that you pick it up because you'll just have a blast. And this is the third attachment. This is the medium-sized water tank. So it's got a hinge. You go ahead, you fill up your water, you close it up. Make sure you're wearing gloves when you go to put this guy on and off, because it comes back onto the stove. You can see it clicks into position right here, and then you can access the water, turn it on and turn it off. It heats up super fast because all the heat coming out of this flue pipe just really gets that boiling, and then you've got heat coming up from underneath of it. It is super fast. Now once you get your water boiling, you can go ahead and you can store your water right on the side of the stove here. Again, make sure you've got gloves on when you're handling this when it's hot, but it clicks right onto the side of the stove there so that you can stow it once it's heated up. That is a fun little feature, and that way you can still have whatever you're cooking for dinner up here, and then you can have your water heating up to wash those dishes after dinner right back there. Now, another one of the attachments that Winnerwell makes is what they call a fast fold oven, and it is an oven that is larger than the pipe oven, and it's designed to go right on the cooktop of the stove itself, and it's about yay high. I'm not exactly sure on what the dimensions are, but it is bigger than this oven, so you can cook some larger items in it. But the reason that I decided to go with the pipe oven is so that way I could throw some biscuits or something in there to bake, and I can still have the main dish that I'm having cooking simultaneously down here on the cooktop. When you use the fast fold oven, it kind of takes up your entire cooktop so that you are restricted to just baking. So I liked the pipe oven for the versatility of it, but there is an option for a fast fold oven. So if that's something that you're interested, I'm going to put links in the description below, and I'm going to put links down below of all these additional attachments that you can get for the stove, just in case I've piqued your fancy with it and you want to give it a try. If I had to give a review on the Winnerwell Nomad size medium stove, of course without the additional attachments that I've added to it, I would give this stove 4.5 out of 5 crows. It is a great stove. I am hard on my gear. I mean, I just abuse my stuff, and this thing has held up to me, so it's probably going to hold up to you. It has performed really well, and it's really, really easy to light. We've never had an issue trying to get a fire going in this stove. I will say, if you get this stove and you notice that you're getting a lot of smoke build up in your tent, probably what has happened is that you've probably put some wood over where this flue pipe is, where that air intake is, and it's probably blocking it. So if you run into that problem, just go ahead and grab your handy little scraper and just kind of move it around and free up that flue pipe hole, and it'll just start drawing right away, and you're not going to have any problems with it at all. But it's been a fantastic stove. The only issue that I have with it is this cooktop thing. Ding! This is kind of a useless feature, at least for me, and I do a lot of hot tent cooking, and I have not found that this is a feature that I have used, and I probably never will. And quite honestly, occasionally, and again, it's usually when that flue pipe gets blocked, sometimes a little bit of smoke will come out through the top here and kind of smoke you out until you figure out what's going on and why it's not drawing. So I actually wish that Winnerwell would discontinue this feature on the stove, because in my opinion, at least for me and what I do, I think it's kind of a useless feature. But other than that, everything else with the stove is solid. I love the stove. I think it's great. If you decide that you're going to go with one, definitely drop me a line and let me know how it goes, because I love to hear other people's stories about their winter camping adventures. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead, click on that subscription button now. And if you're looking for something else to watch, we've got the best of 2020 hot tenting playlist right over here. You can go ahead and check that out and see this puppy in action and watch some of the awesome food that gets cooked on it. Until next time, folks, we'll see you on the trail.